Coming up on Ann Arbor tonight, we have a great show for you. We have interview guest Bruce Madej, we have comic Billy Hoffman, and our amazing musical guest Nadim Azzam. Yes, folks, in local news, baseball season is in full swing, or as we like to call it in Ann Arbor, spring football. Yes, in statewide news, a local fisherman has hooked his camera that he lost after 2 years in Lake Michigan. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that's what I call a Kodak moment. Yeah, you know, a friend of mine asked me recently, because of the Easter holiday, what I liked in my Easter basket, or what kind of bunny. You know what I told him? Playboy. Before I understood the importance of Passover, well, I just figured it was a term for my dating life. Yeah, out of respect for the holiday, too, I gave a blind man a piece of matzah. Well, then I walked down the street and he yelled at me, "Who wrote this crap?" Yeah, a Michigan pothole patching crew, well, got stuck in a pothole. If you ask me, that logic has some holes in it. Yes. You know, the other day I looked up my family tree, and let's just say I have some very deep-rooted issues. Folks, we have a great show coming up, so please stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ann Arbor Tonight. Yes, thank you so much. Folks, I would like you to give a warm Ann Arbor Tonight welcome to our feature interview guest, Bruce Madej, everybody. Yes.
Thank you.
Now, folks, this is very exciting. Bruce is the host and producer of Beyond the Wins and Losses, which is a great podcast. So, Bruce, thank you so much for being on the show.
Zach, thanks for having me.
Hey, it is a pleasure. Do you mind if we just jump in?
I'll jump right into it. I'm ready to go.
Sounds good. So, Beyond the Wins and Losses, it strives to give listeners insight into the value of sport as a tool in society, business, and everyday life. Well, I'm curious, what led you to sort of starting this podcast?
Well, I think there's a issue when you talk about sports. I think people think it's the toy department.
Mm-hmm.
And when I been through my life at the University of Michigan Athletic Department, writer for the Ann Arbor News and the Ypsilanti Press, it's always been in sports. And I've gone back all the way back to my kindergarten days when I figured that I learned how to multiply by 7 because that's what football scores were. So I could multiply, and my mathematics were all there.
Sure.
Because of sports.
Sure.
I learned ERAs, I learned batting averages.
Yep.
In baseball, and all those type of things. So when you take a look at it, it taught me a lot. So.
Yep.
When I started to take a look, and I started to wonder, I said, individuals seem to have kind of a thing that they're just a bunch of athletes, you know, and dumb
Sure.
jock type of thing. And when you take a look at the field of competition, it actually becomes a classroom for these individuals. And I think sports teaches you so much. And even going into the position when you have kids,
Right.
you know, I mean, it teaches you to bounce back. You get cut from a team, you know how to bounce back.
Right.
You learn how to work and play with individuals that are much different than yourself.
Sure.
And so the teamwork is very important in this. So when I did the idea of this, I thought, let me give it a shot and see if it's going to go. So I went to Melanie Weaver-Barnett, who was a member of the Hall of Honor. She was a distance runner at the University of Michigan.
Okay.
And she works with the executive education in the University of Michigan Ross Business School.
Sure.
And I figured, okay, I can talk about this, but again, everybody's going to think, okay, you are part of that dumb jock culture. And as it turned out, I talked to Melanie about the idea. She loved it because she understands as an athlete what it taught her.
Right.
And we were able to get the Ross Business School involved. And Ross Business School, of course, is one of the top business schools in the country.
That's right, if not the best.
If not the best. And when you take a look at what they were going to be able to help me bring to the table, we were able to put this podcast together because they agree with me.
Right.
And it really worked well because sports is like theater, it's like, you know, music.
Yep.
And it's just different than those.
Yeah.
And but again, it's something that I think you learn a lot. There's a lot of things that I think you take as life lessons and life skills, and that's what I wanted to bring forward.
Well, and I think you're doing that. I mean, you touched on some very, very great points. Just being a young kid and learning, you know, fundamental things, just being a sports fan. I myself, you know, it helped me tell time because, hey, I knew 7:30, that's when the Wings dropped the puck.
I became a writer because of that. When I was in grade school, I was able to write a lot more about sports than I would be, let's say, about Henry Thoreau, okay? Though I did read that one, read Henry Thoreau.
Sure,
okay,
sure.
But the thing is, when you look at it, I had a passion for it.
Right.
So if you can figure out how to use that passion and put it forward, that helps too. And that's where sports was good for me because it got me into writing and into broadcasting, and you know, and I was able to do it. Now the key is, because not everybody can work in sports, is to take that passion and what you learn, and then take it to the next level, to your life skills, your business, your career, whether it be a doctor, whether it be an accountant, a teacher, and you know, that's what I call the coaches, teachers. And that's really, you know, I think the impetus I had, you know, behind getting the podcast going.
Yeah. Well, and I think, again, it's something that is tremendous because you're touching on something, again, that's bigger than athletics, but is still, you know, vitally important.
Just not the athletes, but I think for business leaders and for individuals who are taking a look at leadership roles. The coaches that I'm talking to, the lessons that they are able to give. Carol Hutchins, you know, the winningest coach in University of Michigan history. I mean, when you listen to her talk, you understand that, wait a minute, she's got some real skills there for leadership that she can teach these young people and teach people who want to have those type of skills to be leaders. Red Berenson, one of the great hockey players, but the guy is absolutely one of the individuals who I'm telling you, he's a tough nut, you know what I'm saying? But you see the soft side of him and how he has been able to work not only with players back from the 1960s and the 70s, but how do you change as, you know, the culture changes. And Berenson, you know, was able to show that. John Beilein, unbelievable, just absolutely great.
Well, and I think it's amazing because I think that the platform of athletics is forever topical, forever in the know, and it's a good place for anyone to, again, you know, expand their skills and be able to take those skills that they've learned of discipline, of routine, of working together, of working with other people, taking that to the business world or taking that to the corporate world. And the fact that you're doing that with Beyond the Wins and Losses and that great podcast, I think is amazing.
Well, I appreciate it, Zach, and I'm really excited because you know, I said I brought the Ross Business School involved, and so to talk, I mean, I'm only like you are here, the MC, you know, the host. That's all I am. Okay, I bring in experts, the professors, the Kim Camerons of the world, the Scott DeRues of the world, the people who are doing the teaching at the school, not in sports. You know, they're teaching future leaders. They're teaching business leaders. Melanie Weaver-Barnett has been, when we've been doing the podcast, she's been working in Saudi Arabia and Moscow, and just trying to you know, expand the leadership role of the Ross Business School and what they're teaching. And so to have that brought into athletics, I think is I'm really excited about it.
To give people a little bit of a background on you, you know, you've worked for the University of Michigan Athletic Department for many years, and so I wanted to know from your experience what separates Michigan athletics from other departments around the country.
I didn't really plan on going into PR. I was a journalist, and so when you take a look at things objectively, you want to be able to say, well, that's not good and that is good. I mean, you know, so how do you do it in PR? You just say, oh, that's really good? No, you don't. You have to really be upfront with everything. And what I found and what I like about the University of Michigan and what I think sets us apart is that we do talk about issues that we have, and we do get to them as quickly as we possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And we do it in a more transparent way
Right.
than I think a lot of other, universities do it. Now, saying that, I think you're seeing, a lot the way the NCAA is getting involved. I think you're seeing a lot more schools develop that type of, way of handling things.
Right.
But I think Michigan has always been on the forefront of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, it's always been kind of funny because they always said, Bruce, you got the headlines being the PR guy for the University of Michigan. I said, I never got the headlines.
Yeah.
When you have the University of Michigan there, you just have to make sure you're telling the story of the student athletes and the coaches. And
Yeah.
I've had great coaches to work with. I mean, you take a look. I got hired by Don Canham.
Yep.
I worked with Bo Schembechler. I've worked, with Red Berenson, Carol Hutchins, as we've mentioned.
Yeah.
And you had gymnastics coaches like Newt Loken, John Urbanchik in swimming, Mike Bottom, who's now in swimming, who's on one of the podcasts.
Yep.
These individuals that I've worked with have just been unbelievable. You got Bev Plocky, who's done
Yep.
amazing with women's gymnastics and has won more championships than ever. Ronnie Bernstein. I can
Yeah.
go on
Yeah,
and
yeah.
on and on. And
Right.
I'm not even talking about the student athletes.
Right.
With the
Right.
Desmond Howards, the Charles Woodsons, the Anthony Carters.
Yep.
The Jenny Ritters
Right.
of the world, and Peter Vanderkay. We've got Olympians there.
Yeah.
And when you have these type of people, you see exactly what they have to do to make themselves, successful.
Yeah.
And that just, I think, it rubs off on you, and it's just been a blast.
Yeah.
And it really has. Right. And I think it's kind of fun because I've had a lot of opportunity to be in a leadership type of a role.
Sure.
And we had the first statistics of NCAA football games back in the 1980s. We had the first website.
Sure.
For, an athletic department.
Sure.
We've had a number of those first in the social media, and we were the first one to allow bloggers in the press box.
Oh, wow.
And those type of things. And so when you look at it, this podcast is Beyond the Wins and Losses podcast is the first that, again, and that's what's kind of fun to do because we're able to show what the University of Michigan coaches and the student athletes, how they have been able to transition from the competitive field of athletics to business. And it's just amazing. I mean, every day you're walking into literally, a Legends lunch or a Legends event.
Right.
And it's great. And that's why I think when you can take what's going on in athletics and take it that one step further, it is beyond the wins and losses.
Right. Well, and something that I've always admired about you, Bruce, as long as you and I have known each other, is that you've always just had a great attitude, a great outlook. And, I wanted to know, do you remember when that started?
I don't, I don't know. I really, no, I don't. I think, that gets put into you, I think, when you're young, you got great parents, you got great upbringing, great friends. And no, I've always surrounded myself with people who have great attitudes, and that's the other thing. I really don't like downers,
right.
But I don't know. In attitude, I think I just like to have fun. My goal in life is, everybody's goal in life is different, and I guess my goal in life was to have fun.
There we go.
And so when you have that, I guess that develops a great attitude. And I appreciate you for saying that, but I don't know. I just have fun.
Hey.
I just have fun.
Hey, if you're not having fun, why are you doing that, right?
Right.
So, last couple questions. What advice do you have for those young athletes out there?
The young athletes is to enjoy the sport. And that's it. Enjoy what you're doing. If I could, if there is ever such a thing as reincarnation, I'd like to come back as the benevolent dictator of all sports. And I would like to stop people from playing one sport for 12 months. I'd like them to play multiple sports. I'd like them to do a number of different things.
Sure.
Instead, my wife Suzette probably thinks I'm very narrow-minded on sports. I think I'm well-rounded because I like a lot of sports.
Sure.
But I think that's the key: is is just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just take it for what it is.
Right.
And then if it develops into something, fine.
Right.
I probably have more suggestions for the parents than I do, and I would say, let them enjoy it and just have fun with the sports, because the chances of your son or daughter even getting a college scholarship are very minimal.
Right.
And so we had 3 boys. They all played sports. They all played high school sports. They went they liked it. I always thought my goal for them was when they were 18 years old, I still wanted them participating in sports,
Okay.
but enjoying it so that when they left sports, they would still enjoy the sports they play.
Oh, that's good. And I think that's a good outlook to have. I mean, lastly, how can we stay connected with you and Beyond the Wins and Losses?
Well, easily for Beyond the Wins and Losses, all you have to do is go to mgoblue.com/podcast, and that'll be there, and they'll be there all the way. It's a nice evergreen piece. And for me, I guess, who knows? Listen to the podcast and see what little things I'm going to do. I've been having fun in Ann Arbor, working with the new Ann Arbor Sports Commission.
There we go.
And getting that going. And then I was doing the LPJ event, and unfortunately we're not going to have that anymore.
Oh, okay.
But, I just like to do things around here, so I'm pretty sure most people will see me.
Hey, love it. Bruce Madej, Beyond the Wins and Losses podcast. Please check it out. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
my
Zach.
friend.
I
Let's
appreciate
have you
it.
back sometime.
I appreciate it.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ann Arbor Tonight. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ann Arbor Tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much. Folks, I am pleased to introduce our comic for the evening. He's from Fenton, Michigan, and he's a headliner of the Dad Bod Comedy Tour. Please give a warm Ann Arbor Tonight welcome for Mr. Billy Hoffman.
Thank you, thank you. Hello, Ann Arbor Tonight. Thanks for that great introduction, Zach. My name is Billy Hoffman. It's a pleasure to be here in Ann Arbor with you tonight. I just got back from a 37-state tour. I'm a Michigan boy. It's great to be back home. I actually just had the pleasure of performing for our troops. So how about that? One of the highlights of my comedy career, Boy Scout Troop 212, right up there near Flint. Great group of kids, let me tell you. It is absolutely wonderful to be home, see my family, see my neighbors. I'd like to tell you about one of my neighbors, Miss Donna. Miss Donna happens to be an African-American lady. Miss Donna is one of those ladies that gives everyone a nickname because she can't remember people's real names. I'm proud to say, in my neighborhood, I'm Sugar Bear. I think it's because I'm white and sweet, little chubby, little bear-like. But it's funny, our Christmas card actually came to our house, Mr. and Mrs. Sugar Bear. Ridiculous. We were over at her house having a cookout one time. The food was absolutely fantastic. It was amazing. And I gave her a compliment. She said, "Oh, Sugar Bear, that's because you're not used to eating with black folk." Fair. That was true. But I asked her what it was. And she said, "It's Himalayan possum." Thought about that to myself, and I said, "Well, possum? Really? We're eating possum?" And she said, "Well, times is hard in the South, Sugar Bear." I said, "We got hard times in Michigan, but we ain't eating frickin' possums, But it was barbecue. It wasn't Himalayan. It wasn't sweet and sour. There was nothing South Asian about this food. So I said, "What's Himalayan by it?" And she said, "Oh, Sugar Bear, that's because I found Himalayan by the side of the road." It was still good. I had seconds. I'm not going to lie. But she said, "Y'all just ain't used to eating with us because you don't make food like we do." And I took a little bit of offense to that. We're pretty good with groceries. We got Gordon Ramsay on our side. And she said, "Sugar Bear, name one thing y'all make better than us." I was challenged, y'all. I had to think real hard, and I was like, well, white guy, hey, we're pretty freaking good at cooking meth. I told that joke in church the other day, and teasing. But I was in church the other day. Easter Sunday just passed, right? And I looked kind of silly because I was sitting in church and I kind of got wrapped up in things. I started singing a Christmas song. And the guy behind me, or in front of me, looks behind him, and he's like, "That's a Christmas song." I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's the stuff I sang the last time I was actually in church." Yeah. But I tell you what, this church was a little different. This church, this guy stands up, and I thought he was going to start praising to the Lord, but he doesn't. He turns around, he singles me out, and he starts flashing gang signs at me. I'm like, really? For some Christmas music? Like, it's that offensive that I only went to church twice this year. But no, straight up in my grill, gang signs. I'm going to lie. I got a little nervous. I did. Turns out, I'm a jerk. I didn't realize this church had a sign language interpreter. My bad. Oh, man. But it's great to get home, see my family. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my family. We recently did the 23andMe thing, the genetic testing. Mine came back male, European, human. Wow. Thanks for that breakdown, 23andMe. MEH. It's like they looked at my genetic profile and went, meh. We had to have a little bit of a surprise, though. My wife came back as having Puerto Rican descent. And I thought to myself, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. I mean, when she gets mad, she yells at me in Spanish. And my nephew was born with a neck tattoo. So, made a lot of sense. No, speaking of my wife yelling, we get along remarkably well for two people that don't have a lot in common. For example, we don't like the same type of movies or music or, stuff like that, but I came home one day and I caught her watching an action movie. She was down in our basement, and I can hear her yelling at the TV, "No! Don't do it! Turn around! He gonna kill you!" I'm like, what the heck is she watching? Tu madre chabasa en la esquina, pero no mucho dinero, puta. Sneak down, turn the corner. It was our wedding video. Meanwhile, I try to lay on the couch and watch something. I'm watching the Tigers game, watching a little baseball. She comes down, "Get up, we're going to Kohl's." I'm like, "Why are we going to Kohl's?" "I have $20 Kohl's cash." Like it's the end of the world if my wife doesn't use the $20 in Kohl's cash. Gentlemen, life tip here for you, a little secret. Always have a $20 bill in your pocket. Because when she says, "I got $20 in Kohl's cash," you pull that out, and you're going to make a bargain with President Jefferson. You're going to say, or Andrew Jackson, you're going to say, "I got $20 U.S. cash that says I don't got to go to Kohl's." Works every time. Got to finish my Tiger game right there. You can clap for that. Yeah. Finished that Tiger game right there in the electronics department at Kohl's. Now she's got $40 to spend. She's got me doing yoga. Not that you can tell. I mean, the guy in the poster does look like me for a reason, But not only are we doing yoga, we're doing hot yoga. So if you guys aren't familiar with what hot yoga is, it's this bait and switch technique where you think you're going to stretch out with hippie chicks, but it's 117 degrees in the room. It smells so bad. It smells like a hockey locker room. It's regular yoga with a yeast infection. It's so bad, but it's a great workout. I don't really necessarily understand yoga a ton because they have their own language, right? If you ever done yoga, they Shavasana and Chardonnay. They name all these weird, Warrior 1, Warrior 2, I'm the wounded warrior. Breathing exercises, stuff like that. Oh, my favorite breathing exercise at yoga. I call it the Whitney Houston. I thought I'd be pretty good at yoga, guys. I really did. I thought I'd be pretty good because I've taken like 5 poops in airplane bathrooms without a problem. So if you can pull that off, you can get into some compromising situations. I can tell you that. But they end every class with the same word. Anyone know what the word is? Namaste. The first time she said that, I'm a Disney freak. She's like, "Namaste." I'm like, "Mufasa." Yeah. Yesterday, wife goes, "Hey, welcome back from tour. We're going to yoga. You going?" I said, "Namaste," and my fat butt at home. We have 2 kids, Summer and Hunter. I've often been accused of naming my kids after types of sausages. Our third one's going to be Kielbasa Hoffman. We're looking forward to that little one. You know, celebrities name their kids crazy stuff all the time. So if I name my kids after sausage, whatever, I don't blame the kids, right? I don't. I blame celebrities that name themselves stupid things. Ice Cube? Really? What says gangster rap like Ice Cube? Snoop Dogg? Come on. You can be more creative than that. Adele. That chick doesn't even look like a computer. Silly, silly, silly. But my kids are absolutely great. I love them to death. And I'll kind of wrap up and leave you with this. I want to tell you guys a joke that my son actually told me, because he's absolutely a spitting image of me. He came home. He said, "Dad, I've got a joke. I've got a joke for your job." I was like, "Okay, great. My 6-year-old's going to tell me." I'm thinking knock joke, something like that, right? He goes, "We went to the planetarium today." So he had a good field trip. And he says, Dad, what is the smelliest planet?" So you're kind of giggling now, so you know where a 6-year-old's going to take this joke, right? So I played along, Zach. I said, "Okay, what is the smelliest planet?" And he goes, "Uranus." That's a 6-year-old joke, right? He is rolling on the floor laughing. Cannot contain himself. And I start to think, I wonder if he actually knows, like, the meaning of this joke, like why it's actually funny. And I said to him, I go, "Okay, that's funny, but explain to me why that's funny to you." And he just rolled his eyes. "Oh, come on, Dad. Just tell my joke on stage and don't mess it up, sugar bear." Guys, my name is Billy Hoffman. That was a lot of fun. Thank you, Ann Arbor, tonight. Thank you, Zach.
We want everyone in Ann Arbor to be safe, which is why Ann Arbor has a law requiring drivers to be 5 feet while passing bicyclists, pedestrians, or wheelchairs traveling on the road. Most traffic lanes within the city are at least 10 feet wide, so give half a lane width of space for safety's sake. This is a good way to measure how much space is required. And if it isn't safe to pass, don't. Be cautious, be patient, and most of all, be safe.
All right, welcome back to Ann Arbor tonight, everybody. Yes, Billy Hoffman, great stuff, man.
Thank you.
Great
thank you.
stuff. So from Fenton, you were one of the headliners of the Dad Bod comedy tour.
Yep.
Hey, you know, some people like Dad Bods. They're not all bad, right?
I think when a lady sees dad bod, she sees stability, trust, and a guy that's going to take her out for good meals.
Hey, there you go, man.
I know my way around a grill, brother.
Hey, there we go. And you know what? Grilling season is coming up, man.
You got it.
There we go. Why comedy for you?
Well, for me, I've always been into the theatrical arts.
Sure.
Whether it was, I was in Glee before Glee was cool.
Oh,
You know?
okay. Yeah.
You know, in high school, I like to say back in the 1900s, you know, but
Sure.
in the late 90s. So I started with musical theater, and I always just gravitated to the funny character.
Sure.
You know, and sometimes if my character wasn't funny, I got in a little bit of trouble for making it funny.
Okay.
Like, I made Danny Zuko way funnier than Danny Zuko should be. Let me tell you that. You know, when I did Grease.
Grease lightning.
Exactly. So, and then for me, that performance transformed into work as a professional magician.
Wow.
So
okay.
and when I was doing magic, I was doing comedy magic.
Okay.
So I would do some mind reading or something, and then of 3-4 minutes of stand up.
Okay.
And I found myself really liking the stand up more and more and more. And let's be honest, it's a lot easier to get booked as a stand-up comedian than it is as a stand-up magician.
Okay.
So,
Sure.
you know,
I presume that's a tall order, you know?
yeah, and it takes it's a lot of work, but it's a lot less practice with your fingers, you know. than, So yeah, got tired of lugging around the props and doing like the animals. I did a theme park show. I had 14 different animals in the show. It was a pain in the butt, man.
Yeah.
So now I go up. I got a microphone and a banner, and I do an hour worth of comedy, and it's a blast.
Well, and do a great job. I mean, you know, being a guy that also really, you know, does well with kids, and then you have your own too. Talk about, you know, what's it like being a stand-up, but also being a parent?
Yeah, well, it's a constant source of entertainment.
Yeah.
Because my kids they're both funnier than me, right? It's funny when people say, "Can you work clean?" I go, "Well, I'm cleaner than my kids are because my son tells anus jokes." You know?
Yeah, you can get yourself into a big hole there. You know?
Right. I like that. Okay. Anyway, no, but for me, when it comes to being a comedian and being a father, the real struggle is to do this as a living, to do this and be successful at it. You got to spend a lot of time on the road.
Yep.
You got to spend a lot of time away. And luckily, you know, my kids are both in musical theater. They both play piano. They both sing and dance, so they understand the theatrical side of things.
Sure.
So it's almost normalized. Hey, Dad's gonna be on TV, okay, or Dad's got a show, or Dad's going in his office. He's got to do a radio interview at 3 o'clock in the morning with some, you know, radio station in Switzerland or Austria or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of weird things that are normalized in my house.
Gotcha. Wow. And I mean, do they go on the road with you? Do you ever bring your kids?
Yeah, definitely. I always try to include them whenever we can. Like I just did some shows in North Carolina, in Wilmington, North Carolina, and it was over my kids' spring break.
Okay.
So what we did is we went down, we hit Myrtle Beach,
Nice.
as a family.
Nice.
You know, we did all the family stuff, and then let's be honest, when I'm doing comedy, I'm working 45 minutes a night.
Yeah.
You know, it's a pretty sweet gig. You know what I mean?
Right.
So in those aspects, it is really good. I have trips coming up that we're taking the kids. Orlando. I'm doing some gigs in the Dominican Republic, some international gigs. So they'll get to travel with me for that. But if I'm just doing roadies here and there, Dad is away. But you know, apparently they have to go to school now and then.
Right.
So you know.
I know, that's the darndest thing, isn't it?
Yeah, summertime's fun for my kids.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So, okay, so you do a lot of traveling, international, on the road. One of the funniest things that's happened to you on the road?
Oh, man. It's funny, you know, for some reason or another, airplanes hate me.
Huh.
You know, and it's generally not a big, like, life-threatening issue, okay?
Right.
But, for example, this last trip to North Carolina, I'm glad you brought this up. We're on the airplane, right? We're sitting there, and the captain gets on and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but we can't get the left engine started." And the guy flying the plane was actually a pretty good comedian because he goes, "And just so you know, engines are kind of important."
Right.
He goes, "But what we're going to do is we don't think it's a problem with the engine, problem with the starter. We're going to turn everything off and turn it back on and see if that gets to go." Which made me think, like, is American Airlines just calling Verizon for tech support? Like, really? Like,
Right, exactly.
did you turn off the phone?
Yeah,
Did you
right.
plug it in again?
Yeah.
But, you know, he got on. It didn't work out. We had to stay an extra night in North Carolina. So, you know, the airline did right by us, put us in a hotel,
Right.
no problem. So what do? Get on the horn, call the local comedy club, and I did 2 shows that night.
Wow, that's
You know,
awesome.
yeah, thank you. Whenever something bad happens in life, I have a particular set of skills
Yes.
that let me make the best out of any situation.
You're like the secret agent comedy man.
I tell you what, there's a lot of hustle into it, too.
There you go.
I worked very hard at it.
No, man, hey, you have to. Talk about you being one of the headliners for the Dad Bod Comedy Tour, and can you talk about what that is?
Sure, yeah. The Dad Bod Comedy Tour is a tour. I started it, you know, came up with the idea. And basically, we feature both men and women comics, but generally we feature comics that have kids.
Sure.
And we do a lot of fundraiser shows.
Oh, cool.
And what I mean by that is kids hockey teams, or
Yeah.
I do some law enforcement fundraiser shows, or project graduation fundraisers. So,
Sure.
you know, we draw a lot of people that are like-minded, that are, you know, going through a lot of the same things, or already have gone through
Right.
a lot of, you know, there's not a lot of hipsters at the Dad Bod Comedy Show.
No?
I'd love them to come. I mean,
yeah.
they'd find it funny.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have our niche audience, and it just does really well for me. And
Yeah.
if anybody wants more information on that, they want to catch a show,
Yeah.
it's easy, dadbodcomedy.com.
That's awesome. And obviously, you don't have to have a dad bod, right, to like come to the show.
Oh, of course not. And you don't even have to have a dad bod to perform on the show,
There
you
you
know.
go.
But, but yeah, it's a really good range of comics. I've been able to book over 20 plus different comics on this tour.
That's awesome.
And give a lot of guys work that they weren't getting. And
Yeah,
a lot
cool.
of girls work, a lot of exposure for a lot of different comics. So
That's awesome.
you know, made a lot of good connections, and we laugh every night.
Cool. I love comedy, and you know, one of my favorite clubs here in Ann Arbor is the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase. Have you ever performed there?
How lucky are we to have the showcase?
Yeah. Oh man, they're
I mean,
great.
seriously,
Yeah.
one of the, the top 3 clubs in the state of Michigan.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
like the bucket list clubs in
Yep.
Michigan, and for me, it's of course Mark Ridley's,
Yep.
Ann Arbor, and then the Holly Hotel is actually a fantastic place.
Yeah.
And so like slowly crossing these things off my bucket list.
Yeah.
I'm in the Ann Arbor club for the first time in about a week, so I'm
Cool,
really
cool.
looking forward to that.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, I definitely hope you have a packed house. We'll try and come by and support you as well. And definitely, I want to talk about this too.
Sure.
Thoughts from the throne, because as you know, I mean, hey, I don't know what it is about that particular room and that particular seat, but inspiration always sparks.
Yeah, well, when you're a dad, sometimes that's the only peace and quiet you get, right? That's
Yeah,
where the
man.
good thoughts come out. So yeah, thoughts from the throne. And of course, I'm pretentious, so I put volume 1.
Oh, that's right.
I haven't written the second one yet, but I might just do volume 3, and then like 2 will be like the lost years or
Oh
something.
yeah, we're at the last
But even
year.
on the back of the book, I put a
Sure.
roll of toilet paper for you guys. But no,
Just in case you're missing something.
Right, exactly. It's a piece of merch that I sell at my shows. It's a book of basic one-liner jokes
Sure.
that necessarily didn't fit into my act, or I didn't have a whole bit around them,
Right.
but they were too good to not use in some way.
Yeah, yeah.
So I put them together, Thoughts from the Throne. It's available on dadbodcomedy.com. You can
Cool.
get it at our shows, and it's on Amazon as well, too.
Awesome. Yeah, Thoughts from the Throne. Definitely. Billy Hoffman, we appreciate you coming by Ann Arbor tonight, Ann Arbor's late night television show, and we wish you all the best. So thank you so
That's
much.
awesome, man. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Let's give it up for Zach.
Hey,
though.
no
Come on,
problem.
guys.
Hey, thank you guys. Wow. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Ann Arbor Tonight. Yes, thank you. Please give a warm Ann Arbor Tonight welcome for our wonderful musical guest, Nadim Azzam.
So here's the changes, they'll take you 1,000 places, leave you faithless, confused communications. This game is just wasteless, we're nameless, but I made this. It's crazy how we're shameless. I'm Daisy, but it's painless. Just kidding, it's painful from the outside to within this soul. Where the sun shines, I no longer know when my story rides, man, I gotta go. I take a train or I hit the road. However I go, I must go with it alone. I don't know why it could make a man cry to know on his own is how he's destined to die. I guess I keep moving along, hitting the beaches or writing a song. Top of the mountains, I'm ripping maybe an island is where I belong. Nobody knows, cause nobody shows. Nobody goes, cause everyone's froze. People not sure, we're traveling now, drowning in airs, we reach for the clouds. Oh, 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 Thank you guys so much. I want to take a quick second and introduce my friend, Jacob LaChance on the saxophone. That song is called Here's the Changes. This next one's called The Swamp. You know, if I stay here, I'll go insane. But I have the same fears no matter the place. So maybe I'll wait here and plot my escape. Maybe I just think too much and all of this is destined to change anyway. And maybe I'll go on my own. And maybe you know that I won't. And I hope you know that I don't mean to be so hard on you. And I hope you see that I'd do anything if everything depended on a little old me. Or maybe I'd leave. You know, if I stay here, I'll go insane. But I have the same fears no matter the place. So maybe I'll wait here and plot my escape. Maybe I just think too much and all of this is destined to change anyway. Another dose of medication to numb my taste. Another dose of situation to make me feel safe. Another dose of medication to numb my mistakes. Another dose of situation to blow in my face. Oh, I slipped and fell into a different realm. I feel swell, so I don't think I get away. I think I stay another day. I just sit here in the rain and wait for all the sun rays to come play. And maybe one day I'll be something, or maybe we can stay forever. Maybe play together, say endeavor, treasure every vacant pleasure we develop. And I can see it all from the center of the earth. My very soul is molded to you in a screwed up universe, yo. And I won't go, ooh, I won't go with you. Leave me alone. Oh, I won't go. Ooh, I won't go with you. Leave me alone. Oh. So that one's called The Swamp. That's off a new EP we just put out with a full band. I only got Jacob with me today. But this next one is, I'm actually jumping ahead to something new we haven't put out yet, but this will be on the next project. And this one's called Rainstorms. I say. And I know you trust me, though I wander away. Rainstorms and dynasties both pass by me. Beauty in the moonlight and beauty in a house fire. How can this be? Can't make sense of the made up. Can't sit still, no wanderlust. Crave alone time, wanna be famous, but I'm free. Free as I claim to be, free as I say I see, free as the days I slept through, and free as the labor seems, free as a painless trip, free as the truth I left you with. Freedom is everything, freedom is what I need. And I know you love me, despite what I say. And I know you trust me, though I wander away. Eyes chase the last lights of the sunset, downpours, but I ain't drowned yet. I ain't found yet, just a short moment in a long breath, and that's okay. I pause to let the light in, crack an egg open, make an omelet, crack a soul open, get a good life. The fire of pain makes you burn bright, but no love gained for selfish sacrifices, and that's life. And right and wrong, that's a tough call. Everybody's right in their own thoughts. We all so scared to play the game wrong, so scared to play our days wrong. We get so scared to play the game wrong, so scared to be lost. Now it gets so dark so quick. A day used to feel like a lifetime. Now it's so harsh, so swift. And hate used to feel like a lifeline till it dragged me down and pulled me under. I was so mad, I was so sure, till the truth came and rang out like thunder. What spell was I under? And I know you love me, despite what I say. And I know you trust me, though I wander away.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ann Arbor Tonight. everyone, and welcome back to Ann Arbor Tonight. Nadim Azzam. Yes. Yes, my goodness. Great stuff, man. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Man.
It's great to be here.
Oh, man, it's great to have you. What first got you interested in music?
You know, I grew up with music always around. My parents were huge Beatles fans, Tom Waits, Frank Zappa was around a lot. And so it was sort of just always swirling around. I found as I got older and older, the more like emotional turmoil I felt, the more music relieved it all and sort of was like my,
Yeah.
You might notice from the music, it's not necessarily happy content.
Hey, man, I mean, you know, but that's the great thing about, you know, that artistic medium, right, is it allows you to get that out. Like you said.
Right. I have this theory that like I write happy songs when I'm sad and sad songs when I'm happy. So whatever emotion I'm not living has to come out through the other.
Wow. So you write your own songs?
Yeah. I write pretty much I mean, everything I did today I wrote.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. So like, what would you say is the hardest part of that songwriting process?
Finishing the song.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy to get really, like when you're excited and
Yeah.
inspired and motivated, like you get this little thing and you're like, oh, that's cool, and what if I did that there? And then when you have that, it's like, then it's going to work. Then
Sure.
it becomes tedious, like, all right, well now I gotta get good at playing it, which means
Yeah.
practicing and then recording.
Yep.
So I think I think finishing the track is always the difficulty.
Yeah. No, definitely, man. And I mean, you just have, you know, just such a great presence on stage, and you know, just such a great energy. I mean, like, where did you get that? I mean, were your parents performers? Like,
You know, maybe not professionally, but yeah.
For
So my mom's a professor at U of M.
Okay.
So I got I attempt to learn the discipline from her.
Sure.
And then my dad was a poet, a director, a playwright, an
Wow.
actor, all this in Egypt before he came to the United States.
Wow.
And he's always had that personality of like everywhere he goes, super warm.
Yeah.
You know, you feel it when you walk in the room. So subconsciously, I think I'm trying to emulate that.
Yeah.
But I grew up with a lot of good influences around me, a lot of good models. It's a good town.
Well, yeah. And speaking of the town, I mean, you're from Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Went to Pioneer.
Oh, yeah.
Go Pioneer. In your own words, why is Ann Arbor a great place for music?
You know, I think Ann Arbor is just a really great hub creatively in general for all. I mean, there's just a certain energy here where it's like you still have a lot of academia and a lot of focused work in that area, but you also have this huge community that's very open to new ideas. There's always been creative things, whether it's like the running of the shopping carts during Punk Week or Top of the Park or Sonic Lunch. There's just always these things that are supporting it. So I always felt like maybe growing up somewhere else it would have been more difficult, but there was always someone around. And all right, the best of all, I grew up with the Arbor Music Center.
Oh yeah, right.
Where I learned, I mean, that's where I know most of the musicians that I play with in this town. That's where it's like it was a whole community.
Sure.
So I feel like there's just in all these different ways, even the bank doing Sonic Lunch, like there's all these things that just support it, where a lot of places I think don't have that.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes this city, you know, I completely agree with you. I think that's what makes Ann Arbor so unique, is that they give you those avenues and that platform,
Right.
you know, to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. You know, you have a very unique style, and I love it. It sort of bridges folk with pop, with like hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things was like you talked about, you know, the Beatles being an influence, things like that. I mean, so did your style just sort of evolve? You just kind of said, hey, this sounds good.
Right, yeah, I mean, I think, so, all right, to go way back, when I was, I think I started playing guitar in 6th grade, and I was a long-haired, chubby-looking Slash wannabe from Guns N' Roses. And so I was like a hard rock lead guitarist, that was the whole deal. Then a couple years later, I started writing raps, but I was still this long-haired kid, and I was like, I don't know if I can do that.
Right.
And then I started singing, and it all sort of came together, and it sort of just naturally is what came out, you know?
Cool. Yeah, no, it's a great sound. It's like super original, man. Like, you know, it's nothing like I've ever heard, and it blends so well.
Thank you, man. I mean, I think that might be even like sort of the blessing and the curse of it sometimes, is that on one hand, because sometimes I'll play with a band, or I'll just have Jacob, or I'm doing acoustic, or I'm doing more like electronic hip hop stuff, and I'm doing vocals over that. And so it's like easy to just come up with millions of ideas and have all these people around me, and it's sort of like what the sound ends up being is more based on who's with me, adding their ideas and their influence to it.
Sure.
You know?
Do you have where's your favorite place to record in Ann Arbor? Do you have?
My basement
Yeah?
with my audio engineer.
There we go. Gotta love that, dude.
Yeah,
No,
I live with him. Blessed.
Yeah, there we go.
DJ L.
Yeah, dude. DJ L, one of the best, man. He's great. We love him. So, also too, can you share a funny memory you have while performing on stage or backstage?
Oh man. Okay, so I was playing one of those like long 3-hour bar gigs at a restaurant last summer, and I had every malfunction you could possibly have in like a 3-minute span.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm up there, and all of a sudden one of the guitar strings breaks. And I'm like, oh no, all right, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep getting, I'll get through the song and I'll change it after. And then I drop the pick into the guitar, so it's like shaking around and they're making a whole nother sound. Then I'm like, all right, Jacob, it was just drums and sax. I was like, Jacob, Chris, cover me, I'm out of here, I'm gonna go change the strings. And they're just like sort of jamming. So I go get my other guitar, my backup guitar out of the car, change the string on it, no, that one had a string. So I grab that, come back, and start playing a song. 10 seconds into the first song, the battery dies in the guitar. So then I was like, all right, guys, I'll be back in another 10 minutes. Then I had to go restring the first guitar.
Right.
But
man.
Lots of hectic, unprepared, or unplanned things happen. I think that's sort of, I don't think I've ever had one show where something didn't go crazy. I think that's part of it, is just learning to adapt.
Yeah, exactly.
To stress.
Yeah, no, well, that, and I mean, it's just kind of all part of the process, right? You kind of have to be, open to that.
Right.
You know?
Right, life is chaos. It comes with the ride.
For sure. Well, and then you do have Sunny Flats, this awesome new CD out.
Yeah.
And so talk about sort of that process and what you love about it.
Yeah, so I mean, this project came from a handful of songs that I'd written with my acoustic guitar, and I wasn't really sure how they were going to pan out. And then you guys got to meet Jacob LaChance, my wonderful sax player. He was the first to show up because I was doing all solo shows.
Okay.
And we were mutual friends, and one day we were like, we should jam, man. Yeah, let's jam.
Yeah.
So we started hanging out, and I was like, oh, that sounds good. You should start playing at my shows.
Cool.
And then my girlfriend's brother was a really good drummer, and so she was like, hey, do you need a drummer? I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. And I was like, well, now we almost have a band. We just need a bassist.
There we go.
And it sort of just developed, and we did a whole bunch of shows all around the state of Michigan, like a couple festivals, Top of the Park Summer Festival.
Yep.
And Buttermilk Jamboree out on the west side of the state.
Nice.
And this to me, this project is sort of like the culmination of the sound we created over the last year and a half.
Nice.
I think like going forward, I might be going in a totally different direction. Like it'll still feature the live players.
Gotcha.
But it's more like electronic hip hoppy stuff.
Sure.
This was sort of like the live band. And you can see by the art on the front.
Yeah.
It's like all the members. So I'm gonna go through them real quick if we can.
Yeah.
We got Jacob on the sax on the left, me, and then Chris Robbins on the drums and Sam Collins on the bass.
Yeah.
And this artwork actually, my girlfriend drew it, Natalie Robbins. She's this incredible fine artist. I didn't choose her because she was my girlfriend. She like pencil drew that whole thing.
Wow.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's a great, I saw it too. I looked at the album cover and I was like, my gosh, dude, that's really cool.
Dude, I'm blown away. I wish I could draw.
Yeah, me too. I can't even draw a stick figure straight. I'm like, yeah.
I won't even try.
Right. No, I mean, that's so amazing. And of course, you guys just released it. So definitely people can check it out too, like on your website and all that stuff.
So we just did a release show at the Blind Pig not too long ago.
Yeah.
And then now we've got a few copies floating around. And I think by the time this airs, it should be on all streaming services, Google, Amazon, Tidal.
Heck yeah, dude.
Spotify,
Heck yeah, man. So, and you just talked about the Pig. What is your favorite venue to perform in Ann Arbor? And
you
why?
got it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the Pig. I mean, it's the historic venue. It's like the only real surviving like rock club in town.
Yeah.
You know, like I had my first concert there,
Wow.
which was Mac Miller, rest in peace.
Wow.
And then I've seen so many great ones since. KRS-One, Talib Kweli. I mean, it's a history, you know?
No, it is, man, and the energy in that place. You know, when you go in, and either whether you're standing or you're sitting, I mean, it's just a unique venue.
Right.
And
no, it's a beautiful room, dirty and beautiful.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, but again, like it's the environment. It's the history within it, man.
Yeah, it's culture.
Yeah, no doubt. And for all the young artists out there watching, what advice do you have for them?
I'm gonna give the advice that people gave me that I never listened to.
Okay.
That I didn't like, but it turned out to be the truest thing. Talent is a very small factor. So much more of it is discipline and work and taking the time to do the things you don't want to do, and like waiting on opportunities to show up because people like some of what you do can sort of hinder your progress. And I think also just massive amounts of patience. And like I heard this idea that like 80% of success in anything is psychology and 20% is mechanics. Wow. And I try to live by that because I feel like if I could come here, right, and in my mind I could be like, I'm not on the biggest show in the world, and I don't know, I don't feel good, I'm not cool enough, I'm not dressed well enough, I don't have this, I don't have that, and it's like then the whole thing's gonna come off that way. No one's gonna really connect. Even if we play well, they'll be like, yeah, cool, nice job.
Right.
You know, but if you come in grateful and like sort of realizing this is the only time in history that this moment will ever happen,
Yeah, man.
then you can like be a lot more present. So I think like young musicians get used to playing a bunch of empty shows for a long time to get your chops up and to get your confidence up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Definitely, man. And I mean, for those watching, just such great advice. Thank you so much, man. And how can those watching see you perform and keep up with what you're doing?
Yeah, well, let's see. I mean, we've got Facebook, so I'll spell my name real quick.
Yeah.
It's Egyptian, so I know it doesn't fit the Western ear well, but it's Nadim Nadim Azzam, which is Azzam. And if you look that up on Google, because there's no one else named Nadim Azzam, it is the first thing that comes up.
It's original, it's unique, bro.
Yeah, right. I was like, everything that, it once could be an issue, now it's a blessing, right?
Yeah, Nadim Azzam, check him out. He is awesome, as you guys know. Nadim, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, folks. That is our show. I want to thank our crew. I want to thank Carter. I want to thank all the wonderful crew members. I want to thank Joe Waskell. I want to thank all of our crew for putting up with me tonight. That is our show. Thank you so much.